systems are offline.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
It's alive!
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Meddling kid. Trace the call. It's coming from inside the
Be
house.
afraid. Be very afraid.
How's it going, people, and welcome to episode 3 of Adventures in Murderland. This is an LGBTQ plus true crime comedy podcast hosted by me, Mike James, and the spaghetti to my meatballs, Alan Cassidy.
Hey guys.
So usually we would normally spend the first 5 or 10 minutes sort of recapping the previous episode, the previous case, maybe talking some other bullshit about our lives as well. But we're going to try our best to delve straight into this one as quickly as possible, because this is one juicy nugget of a case.
I think just before we do that, though, there's something we should mention.
Oh no! Yes. So from episode 1, if you guys have listened to that, Dennis Nilsson, the absolute monster from the very lengthy 2-hour episode we made, has died. He died like a couple days ago, which is crazy. Well, I mean, it's not a bad thing necessarily.
It was just odd that we was talking about it and then he's all over the news again. Yeah,
it's kind of weird that we were talking about it literally 2 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden he's died. I don't think we've had anything to do with that. Definitely not. Our powers of podcasting do not quite reach that far yet.
Into the realms of God.
Of God and death and things. So, not yet, anyway. Maybe one day. Another thing, real quick before we get started with this one, we would really like to see more of you guys who are listening get a bit more of your feedback on our social medias. So if you haven't already, check us out on Twitter, which is @MurderlandPod, and also check out our Facebook page, which is Adventures in MRDR Land. On our Facebook page, whenever we upload a new episode, we also put a few little picky pics of some images that we referenced during the episode on there as well. So that's good a reason as any, I would think, to go and check that out.
I think, to be fair, it adds more insight into the story as well.
It does, because you can get an image of what these people look like, and you know the main thing as well is we do put images of the victims of these people on there as well. So it's nice to sort of pay honor to them a little bit in that way, just by recognizing who these people actually are. But for today, are you ready?
No.
To be honest, this is a bit of a heavy one. But
no.
I've tried to not be as gratuitously graphic unnecessarily. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about Colin Ireland, aka... And there's always an AKA.
Really
with these fuckers. He's also known as the Gay Slayer. Dun, dun, dun. It's a kind of a shitty name, but you'll get the picture.
Who the hell invented that name?
Don't know, darling. Don't rightly know, but it's his name, innit? So let's give it a bit of backstory to whom Colin actually was. And if you want to see a little picture, Alan, of Colin as a small child, there he is. Looks kind of like a cute kid, right? But then again, they all do. Most kids look
Most
cute.
kids. They do.
Okay. So Colin was born on the 16th of March 1954 in West Hill Hospital in Dartford. That's in Kent, apparently. His mother...
So bad at our geography, ain't we?
I'm terrible. The worst. I thought Milan was in China for a long amount of time, remember? Because of the Disney movie Mulan.
Yeah.
Mulan and Milan.
Completely different.
They're only one letter different, spelling-wise, but geographically...
Very different.
Completely different things. his mother, Colin's mother, who was just 17 at the time, refused to name the father on the birth certificate, as he'd pretty much just upped and left as soon as he found out that she was pregnant.
What a dick.
Bit of a dick. Just a little FYI, still to this very day, Colin doesn't know anything about his father.
Right, okay.
His mum worked hard, apparently, to provide for Colin, so she seems like she was a really good gal. She worked as an assistant in a newsagent's, but the pay for that particular job was terrible, and it almost made it impossible for them to live off that money. Fortunately, though, her parents were kind enough to eventually let both her and Colin go and live with them and her brother in the family home. So she moved back to the family home after that dick sort of upped and left. They lived with them for 5 years until 1959, when Colin's mum, sort of rightly so, she decided she needed some of her own independence.
Yeah.
She's got a kid and shit. She moved with Colin to a new home of their own.
Oh.
For the next 6 years, Colin and his mum would move house a further 9 times.
Oh.
That's a lot of moving about.
That is.
Moving house is a pain in the frickin' asshole.
Really?
Why would you do that so many times? In 1961, his mum remarried. For all the information that I can find about this guy, he seemed like quite a nice guy. He worked as an electrician, which is a relatively decent job. But the fact was, I guess a lot of electricians are sort of freelancers, kind of.
Yeah.
He worked sporadically, so he wasn't... Even though he had a good job, he sort of didn't work that much.
Yeah, so he wasn't like putting the work in, putting the effort in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I made a little note here that some of the detail, he just wasn't really a super responsible person. Obviously, because of all the fucking shifting around all the time, Colin found it hard to settle at school. He actually attended 6 different primary schools between the ages of 5 and 10.
That's not good.
High school's a pain in the ass to navigate anyway. I mean...
That's primary school.
Oh, yeah, that's primary school. My bad. Well, I don't know. I think I blocked out my primary school days.
Oh, I like primary school.
I think I've well and truly suppressed those memories. So yeah, he was always labelled the new boy, as one would be, and he was always labelled as the odd one out. As a kid. And now the description here says he was thin, lanky, and slightly bow-legged, which brought him a lot of verbal abuse and bullying. Which, he doesn't. His face doesn't look like particularly gaunt, but I suppose his body could be thin. Funnily enough, can't find a picture of this child's body. I know how that sounds. I know it sounds super weird. That's why I said it. So, as you can imagine, Colin didn't get a proper education, and he became extremely sad, lonely, and withdrawn. I know, at this point...
That's a shame.
There's always these stages in these stories where you do sort of feel a little kind of bad for them, but that does quickly shift at certain points in the story. In 1964, at age 10, Colin and his parents were evicted from their home due to non-payment of rent. And Colin and his mum had to move into... It's kind of like a homeless shelter, but it was just for women and children only. So, because it was only women and children, the stepdad dude, the electrician dude, he had to move to his parents' place so he couldn't live with them.
Okay.
And while at this... it's kind of like a hostel, I'm assuming. So while,
it sounds like a hostel, to be fair.
Yeah, so while at this hostel, Colin's mum realised she was pregnant again.
Oh, no.
Which isn't the greatest thing if you are struggling for money. It's not the greatest.
Well, I'm homeless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fuck. But she was adamant that she was going to have the babies. You know, she never once thought that she was going to sort of get rid of them. History once repeated itself, though, unfortunately, and as soon as the father found out, he upped and
Darted.
left. Yeah, you fucking quick, smart, right out there. A little electrician-shaped hole through the door. Boom, gone. He left them totally penniless at that point. So there's a lot more information about his youth, but I've tried to keep kind of a long story short because it's all very similar stuff.
Okay.
You can see there's a lot of inconsistency. There's not very much stability going on during some very crucial years of a child's life. Lack of education, lack of a stable father figure. Just FYI, his mum did marry again later down the line, if you just want to know what happened to her, because this is pretty much where we're going to leave her now in this story.
Okay.
But yeah, she did marry again. Everything was fine. She had a long and happy marriage, but essentially for Colin, that damage was kind of dumb.
Okay.
Later during his youth, this is kind of like, we're talking maybe like 10 and up at this point. These are just a few little things that I thought were quite noteworthy. He was approached on 4 separate occasions by older guys wanting to have sex with him, which is weird. Well, not just weird. Weird seems like an understatement. It's
did he look older than he did?
No, I mean, looking at that picture of him there, I mean,
how old is he there?
I'm going to say about like 9-ish, 8-ish, and that isn't the face of someone who's gonna. No, he's got like a baby face, right?
Yeah.
And when you see a picture of him later on, even though he looks a lot more haggard, he's going to be one of those kids who looks younger.
Right, okay.
So the first person who sort of propositioned him, he was working at a fairground at a summer holiday job. One of the traders offered him a necklace for his mum in exchange for a sexual act. The second, when he was 12, he was in a public toilet. He was in a cubicle, and a man in his late teens or early 20s peered over the top of the wall down at him, and even though he didn't say or do anything, Colin found that it was pretty disturbing, which...
Understandable.
It would be, but that thing, I don't know if you might have misread that, because as a kid, I mean, this guy's is in his teens as well. I had so many dicks go, like... tiny dick, pin dick, still and looking over the toilet cubicle at you and shit.
I've never had that happen to me.
Oh, just me? I must just attract these sorts of people. The third instance was while he was at a local cinema. He was approached by the local optician wanting some sexual favours, and the very fourth one was a man working for a second-hand shop who also came on to him. So he's seems to be irresistible to these paedophiles for some reason.
There's so many paedophiles in that area.
Just one particular person. Well, I think this, not to get too much into it, but I think it's a lot more rampant than what we probably think or would like to think. I mean, just for this one kid to experience those 4-5 situations, that's 5 more than one would like to think there is. But yeah, those particular experiences left Colin feeling upset, traumatized. He felt violated, and the situations filled him with anger, which at that age he couldn't express, but would carry through to his adult life. Yeah, this is why I thought that was kind of important to mention. At age 16 in 1970, tired of his life and of being seemingly... Oh, I've put it here. Oh, that doesn't make sense. My notes, by the way, for first-time listeners, sometimes I've made notes, and they don't really make total sense. So,
what does it say?
Apologies. It says something about... I have... Never mind. We'll track it. We'll track over it. It's not important. But yeah, tired of his life, Colin ran away to London at age 16. It's here where he committed his first crime. To pay for the trip to London, he stole £4 from someone, but the dude got caught and he was sent to a place called Finchton Manor School, which is again in Kent, and it's like a school for boys with sort of learning difficulties and sort of emotional problems and things. Again, when he was there, he had a lot of teasing and bullying and things, and at one point the frustration got too much for him,